Although India is the second most populated country in the world, there's only been one race in Formula 1 history where an Indian scored a point, and it was the infamous 2005 US Grand Prix. Right now in Formula 2 there's a Red Bull backed Indian who has the hopes of all the Indian racing fans on his shoulders, and in today's video I'm gonna ask the question, will Jehan Daruvala reach Formula 1? Jehan Daruvala, born on the 1st of October 1998, started go-karting in 2009 and won his first championship in India in 2010. In 2011 he finished in the top 3 in Force India's 1 in a billion hunt, where the Formula 1 team was searching for the next Indian driver who would be backed by the Force India team to have the chance to start go-karting in Europe, which is exactly what he went on to do. In 2012, 13 and 14 he was go-karting in Europe and he won a few championships, as he was the first Indian to win a national British karting championship in 2013, but it also was his last go-karting championship as he didn't win one in 2014. So he had a decent go-karting career, but clearly not F1 level, and going into cars, still being backed by Force India, he skipped Formula 4 as he stepped in the Formula Renault championship in the Northern Europe championship, where he finished on the podium 3 times and he finished 5th in the championship. Good for your first year in cars, you can say, and a good preparation for the next year where he would drive in Formula Renault cars once again, driving in both the Northern Europe and the general European championship. Jehan won a race in the European championship, finishing in P4, and in the Northern Europe section he finished a disappointing 9th. He also drove in TRS, where he finished 2nd behind Lando Norris and ahead of Pedro Piquet and Guan Yu Zhou in the same team, although it should be a given you outperform those two regarding their skill. Jehan won 3 races. In 2017 he won 1 race less and finished a position lower in TRS. Daruvala debuted in European Formula 3 with Carlin in 2017, finishing 6th in the championship, which is actually a pretty good performance regarding he was a rookie and it was a pretty talented field as well, with 3 of that year's drivers currently having a seat in Formula 1. In 2018 he drove his 2nd year in European F3 and you'd reckon he would improve his 6th place in the championship, maybe a top 3 finish or even a shot at the championship. Well, no. He finished 10th in an incredibly disappointing season, winning only 1 race in an, in my opinion, not so good looking car. He drove 1 race weekend with MP Motorsport in GB3 as well, but adjusting to a new championship and driving in an incredible looking car are obviously a lot of changes, leading to him scoring 9 points, which is absolutely no shame. In both 2017 and 18 he drove in the Macau Grand Prix as well, but he didn't finish in the top 10 in any of the qualifying or race sessions. A bit disappointing, but he got the opportunity to drive in the newly rebranded Formula 3 championship with Prema, the team which had just literally won all the European F3 team championships that were possible to win, dating back to 2013. And though they were the favorites for this new championship as well, where Jehan would drive alongside Marcus Armstrong and Robert Schwartzman, who both had finished ahead of Jehan in 2018. Would this be the case in 2019 as well? It was Jehan's 3rd year in Formula 3, so he had a lot of proof, whereas Marcus and Robert only drove their 2nd year in the second to last step before Formula 1. Daruvala had a good start to the season, winning the sprint race in Spain and having his best weekend of the season in the 2nd round at Le Castellet. He qualified 2nd and won the feature race, and in the sprint race he moved up from 8th to 3rd, having his only double podium of the entire season and also his last win of the season, finishing on the podium only 3 more times, ending behind both his Prema teammates in 3rd in the championship. At the start of 2020 Daruvala was signed to the Red Bull Driver Academy and he would be driving with Carlin for the 2020 Formula 2 season alongside fellow Red Bull junior Yuki Tsunoda. After the late start to the season, it seemed like Daruvala got off to a good start, qualifying P6 for the first race, but after stalling at the start he got hit by Yuki Tsunoda into turn 3, which ended with a 5-second penalty for Tsunoda and a short weekend for Jehan. In the 2nd race weekend he didn't score any points again, after qualifying 7th with his teammate getting pole position. In the first race Jehan dropped 5 places and in the second one he made up 3, only to finish 1 place out of the points in 9th. So a bad start to the season, but maybe the Red Bull ring just wasn't his track, as at the Hungaroring he finished 6th and 7th, a good comeback, but after finishing 4th in the first Silverstone sprint race he went 6 races without a point and dropped down to 15th in the championship coming into Monza, where his form turned again, having a 5 races streak in the points, and with only 2 race weekends to go he was still 15th in the championship, whereas Tsunoda was 3rd and he was a championship outsider. In Bahrain, Jehan finished on the podium for the first time in 2020 in the feature race. In the sprint race he was running 4th as well, but then was taken out by Callum Islet, which was very unfortunate. Daruvala clearly liked the Bahrain circuit and that was a positive for the last race weekend, which was held at the Bahrain Outer Circuit, where he qualified 3rd, and after having a disappointing race 1 he started in 2nd place for the 2nd race and overtook his 2021 teammate Dan Ticktum for the win on lap 25. Jehan kept his lead and won his first ever Formula 2 race in the last race of 2020, and after Yuki Tsunoda was promoted to AlphaTauri, Daruvala would be driving another year with Carlin and Red Bull in Formula 2. Before Before the 2021 F2 season started, he drove with the full Indian team Mumbai Falcons Racing in Asian Formula 3, where he was one of the veterans with his 22 years old, but he just not got it going properly. He was fighting against drivers who drove F3 cars for the first time and won only 3 out of the 15 races, finishing behind Guan Yu Zhao and Pierre-Louis Chauvet. Jehan finished 60 points behind champion Zhao and wasn't consistent enough to be in the championship fight at any point in the season realistically. In pre-season testing for Formula 2, he and Ticktum performed well in Bahrain, and in the first race of the season Daruvala finished second, and he left for Monaco third in the championship as he hoped to continue the form into the legendary street circuit, but it was a very short weekend, collecting only 1 point after qualifying just out of the reverse grid in P11. In Baku, Jehan regained some form, however he was outclassed by his teammate who stole the show, overtaking and dive-bombing for what he was worth. They both finished on the podium once, and at Silverstone Dan Ticktum continued his consistent streak of 6 races in the points, qualifying 4th and finishing 8th, 3rd and 2nd, whereas Daruvala qualified 11th and finished 12th, 19th and 10th after a crash in race 2, which was completely his fault, as you can see here. In the 5th round of the championship at Monza, Jehan had a way better weekend than a month before in Great Britain. In qualifying, Daruvala qualified 4/100ths of a second off the man who was on fire, Oscar Piastri, who also was the poleman. In the first race, which was won by Theo Pourchaire, Jehan remained his 9th position, which meant he would start 2nd for race 2. After lap 1, he led the race and didn't look back from there, dominating the race for Formula 2 standards. In the feature race, he dropped to 5th, and next round in Russia, he qualified 2nd to Oscar Piastri once again. He didn't have a good race 1, and after race 2 was cancelled due to miserable weather, he took another podium in the latest race to date. So after going through his past 2 seasons, I think we can start analyzation of what Jehan's future will hold and if he should be India's hope of Formula 1. I think Jehan is a decent driver who lacked consistency throughout his past seasons. He can have an incredible weekend at a track he really likes, like Bahrain, where he achieved 3 of his 4 podiums in Formula 2, only to just about grab some points next weekend like in Monaco. Consistency really is his biggest problem, and because of that he's currently only 9th in the Formula 2 championship. With that kind of results, you won't make it to F1, and though I think he will leave F2 at the end of this year to race in DTM or some endurance championship in Asia, Jehan simply doesn't have the class for Formula 1, and though I'm sorry to say to all of you Indians, Jehan Daruvala should not be India's hope on Formula 1. But what do you think? Will he make it to F1 or not? Let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to like and subscribe as well. I would love to see all of you back on my channel another time. Bye bye!